Hello guys, and welcome back to Macadel online training. Um, Today we're going to be drafting. I just want to show you how to my own way of drafting a corset. Okay. We'll also be drafting a keyhole corset, but for today we're just doing um, a cropped corset, right? It's a bustier cropped corset. All right, so this is my pattern paper I will be working with. I'll try to flip it, in a way that you can actually understand it. So my basic working tools, of course, as usual, my tape, measurement tape, my ruler. You have the long one and you have the curved ruler. My pencil, of course, is still very important. My sharpener, I sharpen a lot, and eraser, and whatever else you think you need. Anyway, and before I get into this, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for all my subscribers. You guys have been fantastic. For those that send me messages, I've tried to respond. For those I haven't responded, please do remind me, and I definitely will do that. I want to say thank you. God bless you loads. And I would continue doing this as much as I can. And whatever you think you want me to do, please do let me know. And for those that haven't subscribed, please do subscribe and follow me. Okay, so let's get right into this. Okay, so basically, first, as usual, I'm always doing this. Please, first, let me get my calculator. Okay, and my calculator. I nearly forgot that. Okay, so for this bustier, it's going to be like, I don't know if I have my pattern drafting on the channel, but then we're going to go all over it. So we're going to be working with our busts, like the measurements you will need, for this are actually also your basic measurements. So you're going to have your bust. You can say this pattern actually would work so very well for a plus size, but even if you're not a plus size, just follow it. It still works perfectly well. So you have your bust, and like I always say most times, any vertical measurement you have has a corresponding horizontal measurement. So all the measurements we have round have a corresponding vertical measurement. So if I say I'm taking my round bust measurement, I have my bust height as well, which is from my shoulder to that point that I took my round bust measurement. That's what I mean by every vertical measurement has a corresponding horizontal measurement. So if I take my waist measurement round, my shoulder to my waist is called what? My half length. That is also a vertical measurement. So that's correct. That horizontal measurement of the waist. That's just what I mean by that. Okay. So you have your bust, you have your waist, you have your hips. Where you have your bust, here you have your bust height. Where you have your waist, you have your shoulder to waist, and most times you call it your half length. And where you have your hips, you have your hip depth, which is also your shoulder to your hips. Okay, and then you have your shoulder. You will definitely need that. You will need your bust distance. Okay, you need your under bust length. Now this is actually going to be stopping at our waist level. So if you want to make it a long blouse for a skirt, you can actually extend it. Okay, and then to find our armhole, I normally use, you can actually measure your armhole round, but most times, most people, you just get your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So that is going to give you whatever you're going to use for our armhole. Now I am using a client's body measurement to do this. So here we're having our bust to be 46. So for the 6 divided by 6 plus 1.5, we have 9.1. So our armhole now is 9.1. So basically these are things you need to know. And then you also need your half length back. We have the half length front and we have the half length back. Okay, so those are basically the things we are going to be working with. So when I'm starting, I always like to have a margin line. So I'm just checking this to be sure that I have the distance I want. So I have my margin line just to help me make sure that I have a straight line. So I just do that first. So that's my top. So I have my top line here at this point, and then I have my center. It could be your center front, it could be your center back, whatever you decide this to be. Okay, so to get what we are going to be working with for our basic block, okay, you're going to take the largest part of your body for that. We're working with our half length, right? Meaning from shoulder to your waist. So what's the largest part of your body between the shoulder to the waist is your bust. Except the tummy is bigger, then you now use the tummy. But in this case, it is the bust that is bigger. And the bust is 46, okay? So you're going to take that bust and divide it by 2. So I have 46 divided by 2. Whatever is the answer, this is 23, you're going to add 2 inches to it. So plus 2, okay? So we have 25. So we're going to use the distance we're going to have here on our top line is going to be 25 by your half length. So in this case, I'm going to be having 25 by 19 inches half length front, okay? So here I'm going to be marking whatever I have as 25. Sorry, I need to get up and mark that. So now when you're marking whatever you have, in my case is 25, please also mark the half of it as well, because you're going to draw a line at that point. So having done that, the length, your half length is 19. Not, please use yours. For this person is 19. So I'm going to mark 19 inches here. Now around where I'm going to be having, you can mark it in the middle, just mark it at different points. 19. Now that calculation we have just done is both for your front and back. So this basic block I'm going to be doing now is going for my front and my back. Okay. So I have that. So here also I'm going to find my 25. Okay. And I'm going to mark half of the 25 as well. So I will extend that into a straight line. And then I will now turn all these other lines. So by doing this, okay, so you can see we now have a basic block. All right, we now have a basic block. So we now have a basic block, all right. So we now have our front view. You can actually use anywhere to be your front. You can use this as your back, you can, anything you want. So we have this as our front view, and we have this as our back view. Okay, so we have the front view and we have the back view. Okay, so I'm now going to get this out with the black marker so you can see it properly. Okay, so I believe you can now see this clear, very clear. All right, so we have our front view. So for the front now, I'm going to start putting in my vertical measurement. Okay, so from here I'm going to mark you know, we did our armhole, like I had said, to get your armhole, use your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get, we are going to impute it here. But we're going to add plus 1 inch to it because of the shoulder slant. Some people don't add, but please, for this, you know, some of my pattern drafting I do, depending on the kind of outfit, I don't add. But for this corset, this particular type of corset, I'm going to add, okay? So now we had 9.1. In this case, I'm going to be taking 10.1. So I'll mark it. Now, I am going to be marking this across the whole front and back. Okay. Across the whole front and back. So having done that, you're going to extend this into a straight line. Okay. Alright, so that is our armhole and bust line. Okay, so having done that, I'm going to now concentrate a bit more on the front. Alright, so I'm now going to mark the bust height from the shoulder to the nipple point, and here is 11. And then I'm going to mark from the shoulder to the under bust. This is 15. That's what I'm going to mark here. So I'm going to mark it at different points, but just for the front, please. Just for the front. Shoulder again to bust point. Your shoulder to your nipple point. Okay? And then shoulder to the under bust. Alright? Now, that marking I have done is just for the front, not the back. Okay? The back doesn't have... we don't have breast at the back. So I have that. So I have my markings. Here is like my armhole, right? This is where my armhole, your bust line, armhole line, all of the above there. So I can do my A stroke B, okay? And here is my bust height, okay? And here is my under bust, and here is my half length. Okay, so having done this, we can now come to the back. Now remember that your back half length is not the same with the front. All right, so the front is 19, the back half length is 17, and I'm marking at 17. So that is like 2 inches difference. Please, yours may not be same. It may be a bit different. So it doesn't really follow whatever yours is. Some people have 1 inch difference. Some 2, some 3. Some even have up to 4. Okay. So I will turn that into a straight line. Alright. So that is our back. So this is our new what? Your back half length. And this is still your armhole stroke bust, or chest rather, chest line. All right, so I hope you understand it to this point. Okay, so having done this, now I'm going to now impute my chest line. Now when I mean chest line is, let me just sit so I can explain. All right, so where I want the corset to get to, you know, between my shoulder neck to this point. So wherever you want the corset to stop, that's the measurement I am going to be imputing here now. And mine is 7. The clients, I'm also using 7 inches. So you can use 6. If you don't want it too low, you can use 4. And I'm marking it for now just at the front at the moment. You can mark both front and back, so I'm starting with the front. So I've come down 7 inches. Same thing, 7 inches. I'll just leave it there for now, okay? Then I'll now come to my shoulder. So your shoulder, take whatever your shoulder is divided by 2. Now the shoulder here divided by 2 is 9. So I've marked it. And I'm marking it also at the bust point. Alright, So extend it into a straight line. You will do this for both the front and the back. So once you've done that, then you can now extend this line. We were trying to the 7 inches line, right? So once I've been able to mark the shoulder, I can now extend the 7 inches line I was trying to work on. Okay, so here you can now take your measurements and mark your 7 inches. Right. Okay. And just draw a line across. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing to the back as well, but we'll get there. So let's just work on the front so I don't get you confused. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is we're going to take our bust distance divided by 2. What's the bust distance? Now there are a whole lot of, fine, you can actually take your nipple to nipple point, right? So you can also ask your client, please, can you point to where your nipple point is? And if you can't, look at the highest part of the bust, right? And take your nipple to nipple. Now, if you were not able to, and probably the measurement was sent to you, but you also need to confirm that what you have is right, all right? So that same technique that you had used. Okay, so now, if you need to verify it, remember I gave you a formula for the armhole that we all use, that I said use your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Do that same formula, okay? Like now when I took this measurement, the bust distance is 9. Remember that when we did our calculation for that, we got 9. Whatever you get divided by 2, that is still going to give you your bust distance. Please listen to it again. Whatever your bust is, divide it by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get divided by 2, that will give you that same bust distance that you're looking for. And that's a tip. So please subscribe to my channel so that you can get more tips. You know? Okay, so let's continue. So like I said, the bust distance is 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. All right. So from the down part here now, I placed my 4.5 here. I am marking it. Okay, then I'll now come up also. You can mark it at different points because we're actually going to be drawing a straight line all the way up, and I'll mark it. All right, so up here at the chest, now this is your chest line, is the new chest line, okay? So I'm still going to place my 4.5 and I will mark it. All right, so having done that, please draw a straight line all the way. All right, so have you seen that? So I drew a straight line all the way up. So that's my dot line. Okay, so now before I continue, I like to take my bust span and draw it all around so it will guide me. Okay, and now what is your bust span? It is the distance between your nipple point and your under bust. Okay, so you measure it. This is where my nipple point is. This is the under bust. All right, so you place it this way. You can, I'll also show you how to use your tape. All right, so you measure it and draw it all the way around. All right, so if you don't have your marset to do all this, okay, you can actually use your tape. You can even use your ruler. We don't have a tape, but you should all have tapes anyway. We're all fashion designers, so you can also use your ruler or use your tape. So because I know from here to here is 3.5, I'm going to place my 3.5 here, okay, and keep marking it. Mark it, turn it, mark it, turn. Keep placing your 3.5 at that point. You can use the tip of your tape too, if that helps you. Okay, and then you're going to mark it all the way around. All right, so I'm going to try to use this to create the line properly so that you can see it. Okay, so I've been able to mark out the line. So this is what my bust looks like. So this is the circumference of your bust. It may, for some people it will spill out. If it spills out, don't bother. You're blessed. It's just, you know, what God has given to you. So don't be scared. It is normal. So you won't say, Sister, it's actually, when I did mine, the whole thing spilled out. It is fine. It's a blessing. Okay? It's still normal. So, we'll continue. So, having done this now, okay, at the bust, at the under bust, at your under bust point, we are going to be marking 1 inch on each side. All right? So, at this point, sorry, I need to push it so that you see. All right? I'm going to mark 1 inch this way and 1 inch this way. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on my waistline. All right, I'll still mark 1 inch this way and 1 inch this way. So I have 1 inch here, 1 inch here, 1 inch here, and 1 inch here, and you're going to turn that into a straight line. So have you seen that? So I've been able to turn it into a straight line. Okay, so having done that, most times I can manipulate this. Most times I don't really have to come down and go up, but to be on the safe side, you can actually come down so that you don't really have a pointed part there. You know, you can come down 1 inch and you can go up 1 inch. You can even do half. At times I do half. It's still very fine. From the mid of your nipple point, come up, come down, just so that to avoid giving you that very sharp look. But at times I do half as well. So like I said, it all depends on. So at times I can do half. So whatever, it's actually fine. Now, having done that, you're going to take your ruler. If you keep it this way, it's going to be very curvy. If you keep it this way, it's going to be less curvy, right? So I'm going to now, from that 1 inch I came down, I'm going to do a slant, a curved line, not slant, sorry. My apologies. Now, look at how I'm placing my curve. I'm aligning it to this line. Have you noticed that? My curve is aligned. I aligned it. So I aligned it, all right? And I will now take this into that. I will do the same thing on this side. Align my curve and I will bring it down as well. So I've been able to sort that part out. Okay. So having done that, I'm going to now come up here. Now before I'll do this, then we move, because we're supposed to have done our armhole curve. But before that, let's sort this out, all right? So at this point, I will mark towards the center front. Don't forget that this is your CF here. This is your center front. So this marking now is towards the center front. So I'm going to mark towards the center front half of an inch, all right? And away to your armhole part, I'm going to be marking 1.5 of an inch. It just gives you that very nice tightening. You can do less if you want. So to me, I marked half. Away from me to your armhole part, I did 1.5. So you take your curve, okay? You can make it straight, you know, or you align it, anyone you want. Just use your curve and align it properly again. But most times I just try to avoid it being too curvy, but this curve actually works perfectly. So I'm still coming from here to this part, all right? So you draw it back, okay? Turn it, do the same thing. This curve is really lovely, okay? And take it to this part. Have you seen that? All right? So before we move on, let's come to, well, for me, I like taking my bust divided by whatever before I put a curve, divided by 4, sorry, not whatever. Divided by 4 plus whatever I have here before I put any curve here. That's what I normally do. So now, we'll take our bust divided by 4. Bust is 46, divided by 4 is 11.5, all right? So at this point, on the bust line, the original bust line, I'm going to be marking 11.5. All right, and then I'll take a measurement of what I have here at this point. I have about 1/4 of an inch, and I'll return it back here. Okay, so having had that, I can now say, okay, I am going to be, I'll make a curve for this line. Now, because at times I do my pattern differently, I'm supposed to have something coming in here, so I can as well move it if I want. But eventually, because it's a tube, you know, kind of corset, we won't really need that. So from here now, you're going to curve into your armhole. Right? So for me, why I do that mark, it just helps me, so I'm not getting my curve out of the line. All right. So that's what we have there at our point. Okay. So now we are done with this. We now want to go into our creating our cup properly. That's our cup. You know, that's what we want to create. So when we're now done, we'll now add all our measurements to the side. Okay. So to do that, at this bust point now, right, I'm going to come in 1/2 inch. If the person is slim, 1/2 inch is fantastic. If the person is plus size, at times, depending on what I'm creating, I can still use 1/2 inch. But at times, I also use more. I can use 3/4. You can even use up to 1. For me, you're a fashion designer. You know, you can use whatever works for you. So for this, I will use 3/4. Okay. So like I said, please, you can use 1/2. So this 3/4, I'll mark it. And I'll explain this. You can also mark all the way down. I'm also doing 3/4 here, right? So let me use my pencil at this point. So at this bust point, I marked 3/4. At the bust height, where the nipple point is, I did the same thing. So you can as well extend this line down. Why I'm using pencil, because you can do it 2 ways. I've extended the line down. Now I'm going to place my curve to come from this under bust to link to this point. So you place your curve this way. Okay, and link it to this down part. That's what you know you will do. So I'm just using the pencil to do that now. But if you don't want it that way, now when you do it this way, when you cut, you're going to have this part staying very straight. Some people don't like it that way, so they prefer to bring their curve into this line, into the first line. So they'll put this and take it however it links to this top line, so it will come straight to the top line, so that they are not having this place very straight. That's how some people do it. And also, telling you to start from here is a choice, starting at this point. If you really want it very revealing, you can already, don't forget that this our chest line is somewhere here, and coming here to create a neckline is like somewhere here. You can take it lower if you want. You can also take it a bit high if you don't want it to be revealing. But don't forget that corsets are meant to be, it's actually a revealing outfit. It's actually supposed to be a bra thing that actually really reveals you. So you have between here to here to play with. If you want it high, please take between here and here. So you just come down maybe just about 1.5 to 2 inches. If you don't want it very revealing, you know, you can come here. So your neckline will just come to this point. So it's not really showing anything. Or you can make it up to 2 inches. But if you want it to show, it is between here to here. So it will really show. Here already is like your nipple point. So anywhere between here and here is really going to show. It's like it's here, it's showing. So you need to understand that. So if I don't want it to show much, I will actually come up from my bust line. I'll come up 1 inch to this point. So this is where I will start all these stunts that I'm pulling. So you have a choice to work with whichever one you want. So for this purpose, it's actually starting here. That's how revealing is going to be. So like I said, if you don't want it there, please just come up 1 inch to this point. So it's going to start at this point. So that way, see where I mark that? It is not revealing anything. It's still moderate. It's up there. It's very, very moderate at that point. Okay, so if you start here, it's the same thing. Just place your curve and bring it up to that point. It's still up to you. Okay. Okay guys, so like I said, I'm coming in 3/4, the same thing here, 3/4, right? And I'm going to take my curve and I will join it from here to that. From here, my under bust, I'm just taking a curve to that point. Okay. Okay, so can you see that? So I've taken it to this point. Now, having done that, I'm now going to create my neckline to this point. So like I said, mine is pretty low. Yours doesn't really have to be. Okay, so anyhow you want this. If you don't want it too curvy, you can do what I'm doing, you know. So see, I just placed this. I'm trying to create. Now, if it was here, see how it will go. It's not going to be too deep. Unlike this one, that is actually deep. So like I said, it depends on what you want. Please understand that. If you start from here, see, it's just giving you that nice shallow. It's not really deep. But if you bring it here, this is where it is going to be. It's down. It's a choice though. So that's what we have. Okay, and our corset is taking shape. So having done that, I'll now move to this part. Okay, now most times for slim people, from wherever your bust divided by 4 ends, you can come in. You know, you always naturally see if this place has to take care of your spillover, you know, of the boobs too, so that it will have space. Your breast can actually have space to breathe. But if you really want it tight, you don't have to go in all this. Here you can just come in from that point. You mark in about 2 inches, right? So just 2 inches at that point. That's it. That's where you're going to start to create the remaining part of your boobs. I don't really, you know, do that much. I just come down. I just follow this because if you look at it well, see, this is where my armhole line is, and see where my spillage of my boobs is, right? See my breast circumference. So I don't really need to come much more here, you know, for it to, I just want it to even move my bust more, like to push it up, you know, especially those that don't have big breasts. So for me, I prefer to stay on this line. Okay, so I'll just bring it down. Okay, see what I did? Just from the armhole here, as in from the bust armhole line, I just brought it down here. Having done that, I'm going to now take my curve and place it. Please, when you place, make sure that this place at least stays on the line. There are other techniques I put to this to really give your bust that very push. I do that. So this pattern is just the basic. When I now want to bring out that your boobs and all, I see the way I have to pronounce it and put all that. Okay, so there's something else I do to push up everything here and really make it spill out. All right, so having placed this, I'll just move on this line. All right, and I will join up. I will still readjust this line. Don't forget that we have our front. Have you seen? There's this difference between this and this. So now, so that we can sort out this difference, we'll finish up with this and then we'll sort that out. Okay, so here you can now place your ruler. Okay, you don't have to make it too deep. Anyway, we're trying to just get it from here into this line back. Okay, so now if you were choosing anywhere between here and here, not where I did, you should come up like 1/4 of an inch. All right, so that this will pass through that into the line. It's not really staying on top. It's not like coming totally down on the line. So I'll still be working with that. So I'll just place my curve this way back to the line. So you see, I'm not making it totally down, it's just joining up. Okay, so that's it. All right, so having done that, I'm going to put in my measurements. So for the waist, now we're going to check what's the waist divided by 4. So the person's waist is 42. So 42 divided by 4 is 10.2. All right, so I'm going to mark my 10.5, rather 10.5, and whatever I took from here, I'm going to add it back. Okay, so in this case I took 2 inches, right? So, oh sorry, this is the under bust, please, not the waist. So for the under bust we have 40, right? 40 is the person's under bust. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. So that's 10. Plus 2 inches. We did 1 here and 1 here. Okay, that is 12. So we have that now. So the under bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. Plus the 2 inches that is here. So for the waist is 42, which is 10 and a half. Okay, plus the 2 that we took from here is the whole thing to the end. So that's what we have. So you're going to draw a line. But in this case, I don't like, you know, if the line is like this, so please just draw a straight line. Draw from here to this point. When we are shaping it, everything will, you can take everything out at that point. Okay. So that's what we have. So now that we have this, we are going to now remember that we have 2 inches difference between our front. Our front half length is 19, back half length is 17. Now you're going to place your tape at your nipple point part on the SF, the side front, and mark out your 2 inches. Okay, I placed it here and I marked out my 2 inches. You're going to draw it in a dart form to your nipple point. Have you seen that? So this is my dart here. Okay, so that's a dart. So that's taking off, you know, we'll now, once we take this off, it's going to align with the back. So we are partially or almost done with the front. There's something I always do also to check. I call it a check to make sure that my tube really gives me that fitting, notwithstanding what I have done here. So now before we move to the check, we need to check this as well. So you need to take a measurement of this from here to here so that we can align it properly. Check this 4.5 and move it this way to see there's a seam. Okay, it is not the same, it's shorter, so I'm going to mark where it is. All right, so that's the extra to make it the same with this one. So I'm going to draw this line all the way there. So once you do that, then you're going to draw your neckline, because that way you're sure that it meets. If you don't do this, when you're joining it, it's going to have a shortage. Okay, so that's it. So with that, you find out that if you join this to this, it's going to be exactly the same thing. So now that we have done this, let us get to the back. All right, so now for the back, remember we came down 7 inches, right, for our new chest line. So we're going to do the same thing. You can if you want, but we're really not going to use it, so it doesn't really matter. So that's if you want to use it. Probably you want to put your sleeve for an off shoulder, you can actually do that because it will aid you with the off shoulder, right? But because it's just a corset, I don't need that. You can also put your net, your, you know, if you want to create that yoke at the top. This method helps you to do that. Okay, so at this point, you're also going to put in your bust divided by 4. Okay, this is your bust line, and we had 11.5. I marked that, and then you come to your waistline. Your waist divided by 4 plus your dart allowances. So before you do that, you can as well decide to fix in your dart. Remember, our dart was our bust distance divided by 2, 4.5. I'm imputing the same thing. Most times I use more than that. I just divide my I add half an inch anyway. I think that I will explain in any other class I do, so that you understand. Okay, so here I'm going to be taking out half of an inch both ways. Okay, so I'm doing half inch here and half inch here. All right, at the top I did half inch, please. Okay, so I've come in for my darts. This is it, this is the line, and on this line I'm going to mark half an inch this way and half an inch this way. Then at the top I'm going to mark a quarter of an inch off. A quarter of an inch, a quarter of an inch. And I'll turn it into my dart line. Okay, so here I took half, here I took quarter, a quarter and a quarter. Okay, quarter, quarter, half, half. All right. So now, when you're marking this, you're going to mark your waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch for your dart intake. Don't forget that you took half and half. Okay, so waist divided by 4 here is 10.5 plus 1 inch is 11 for the dart intake. All right, so you now extend this into a straight line. Okay, so that's it for the back. And for this back, you can lower it on this. This is your zip part, don't forget. Now before you do lowering, here we are going to do our back tightening. All right, normally I do half, and I'm okay with the half because I'm not adding it back. I don't add it back. Okay, so if we're doing this, you do your back tightening this way. You can take it from here down. Because of what I'm going to teach you, it doesn't really matter where you started from. So I can as well just take it from here down. I can take it from the normal place up that I do the back tightening, eliminating this. But when we're doing a calculation, you need to put that, into consideration. All right, so I can start here as well. So that's our back tightening that I've been able to do there. So like I had said, you can also come down. If you want your back to stay this way, this is what the corset is going to look like. So if you choose to lower your back, you can as well lower it. You can actually lower between 1, 1.5, whatever you want to. So if I decide to lower it to 1 to make it really low, or what I'll do, this is what I like doing. I'll do my pencil mark, just maybe do a light line, so that so you can now come from here. You use this as is the same thing with this. So you can just take from here and draw into that. Have you seen that? So that you lower your back. If you want to lower it more, whatever you want, to keep lowering it. All right. Now we are almost done. Don't forget that this is your CB, this is your SB, this is your SF, and of course, like I had labeled before, this is your CF. All right. Okay. Now, for me, this is just the extra that I do before we close our dart. All right. I always take my chest around to be sure, and then take the measurement and take out whatever I need to take out so that my chest is firm. At times you can take the measurement and it is okay. You can leave it there. But if you take the measurement and you think it's not giving you what you want, then you can change it. So my client's chest is 43, right? So we now take 43 divided by 2, because we are measuring everything this way, so it's by 2. Okay, so you take 43 divided by 2 and you have 21.5. All right, so I want to make sure that what I have here is 21.5. Please, you need to take your chest to make sure that this is done, and don't make it too tight so that you don't run into issues. So this is how I just take my measurement. Most times if you leave it like this, is also fine, because really with the whole tightening, the whole dart we've taken off, you know, it should work. So see what I did. I started from here, right? I took my measurement to here. I have 5.5, and I lifted up my tape, move the 5.5 to this point, right? And continue my measurement all the way till here, and I have 12.1, all right? And I'll lift it and bring the 12.1 here and continue my measurements till I get to that point. I have 19, right? And I'll move my 19 again to this point. And I have about 21, 23.25. That's much. Like I said, it may be fine for some people. It doesn't have to be like this. But for this, it is much, because what I need for my chest is 21.5, and this is where 21.5 is. You know, so all what you do is put your tape round. You know, you can make it as what you want the corset to hold. Like mine said is even 42. You know, that's it. So this is how I would like the corset to hold me, so it doesn't fall off. So this is even like 42, right? 42 meaning that I should be having 21. So once you're sure of this, like I said, once you're sure of what you want, you know, you have measured it, you now check what you have left. There's 2 inches left. So meaning that I need to take 2 inches off this that. I need to share it, okay? Now, if I'm having 2 inches, that means I can share 1 inch here, I can share another 1 inch here. It all depends on how you want to do it. For a plus size, funny enough, you're not meant to have, you can do your dart as much as 3.25 or 1, not even half, okay? So now, if I want to share anything here, I can say, okay, from here, I like to do half. From here, I like to do half. So that's even only 1 inch that I have put there. I'll come here also. And at this point, I'll tell myself, okay, maybe I should do half. Okay, at this point, I should also do half. All right. Now, before you start drawing notes, I'm using my pencil. So before you start anything, you can still do your measurement again. Okay, and I'll get there. That's about 5. Okay, and I'll start from where I've marked. And I have 11.25. So I'll move my 11.25 to this point, and I'll check. Now, remember, sorry, 11.25. I forgot that it is this line we're actually moving out half from, so that I don't skip. Right? So 11.25. I'll measure to that point. I have 17.1. Move my 17.1 and bring it there. And I have I'm perfectly fine. I have my 21 plus just a quarter, which to me is perfect. It's okay. All right. So now, please watch this video again. This is. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. So you're going to be getting all these tips and tricks of, you know, making that perfect outfit for yourself. All right. Okay. So having done that, we can now come back. Please, you can use your pencils. I'm using my pencil first before I really mark it out for you to see, all right? So I'll align my curve again, like I did, all right? And draw this out, okay? Flip my curve, align it again, and draw that, all right? Okay. So now I can make it into a marker. So before I do the marker thing, so that I don't get it, I need to just make sure that I'm having this right. Okay, so I'll take the same measurements like I did initially. Okay. And I'll flip it to see that I'm stopping at the proper point. Okay, so that stops there. So that's fantastic. Okay, so I'm still on the right track. All right, so I can now translate all this with my marker. So probably let me use this so you know that that's the new line. Okay, so that's the new line. Please follow this video. If you do, you know why I'm having this. So this is our new line that we have adjusted. So we'll come to the back as well, and we will also adjust it. Okay. Don't forget, I think I need to translate this because I had dropped. Okay, remember, if you choose to, we have dropped our back. So having done this, you also need to check. I check a lot, you know, because I don't want to sew and one dart is not equal to the other. Okay, so I always like checking. So what do I have from here to here? I'll check what I have. I'll come here. So here I have 7. Here I have to make sure that I also have 7. So it's just a little bit at the top here. Okay, so because it's a little bit at the top, I will still so this goes there. I just want to make sure that I have that line. So I'll use my ruler. So this has to come like that, so that when you join this, it will meet with this part. Okay, so we are literally almost done. You also have to be marking and know that this is your center back and this is your up. You can do arrows so that you know that that's your up, because once you cut this, it can be very, very confusing. And for me, I like writing on my patterns, so I know that it is my tube corset, cup corset. All right, so you know, yeah, it's your back, your side back. I write a lot, so in case I drop this for anybody, this is my mid back, or you call it center back of your tube cup corset. Now if all these pieces gets missing, a bit like they are scattered, anyone you leave it for will be able to know what to do. So now let's conclude this part. You can also write here also your center front tube cup corset. All right, side front tube cup corset, you know. So when we finish with this, we will sort it out. All right, so before we finish up this part, we're going to cut this, like just separate it. Okay, so now that I've separated this, I want to close this part. So first of all, I'm going to just cut in somewhere. Right, you can just use this, cut it to this point. All right, so I've done that. I'm also going to cut this. I'm cutting this down line, please, not the up line, this line. Okay, I'm not cutting it totally out, I'm just going close to that point. So once I do that, I have cut it, I will move it. Just move it, okay? And close that part that we're seeing so. All right, see that? Just align it back to this straight line here. And then use your tape. So place it properly and put your tape on it. So once you put your tape, if you've noticed, this has been altered because we have closed at that, and it's giving us a beautiful cup all over again. That's why I love this dart transfer thing for the corset. All right, so once you've noticed that, you're going to redraw. Place, see now I'm placing that, align it. All right, so you align it and then you redraw. Okay, chicken. All right, so that's that. So if we check this, and then please don't forget, you now align your dots, as in close up this. See how I'm keeping this? You can actually keep it like this. All right, you see that? And then we draw that there. Okay, so now if we place this, have you seen, automatically this, look at that, everything has aligned. Disregard this, this was the initial line we had. Everything has aligned properly. So we have our waist length tube cupped corset. So now we are going to cut this out. All right, if there's any question you want to ask, please go ahead and ask, and I'll be ready to answer. So let's cut it together. I don't want to cut it off camera. Okay, so now before we cut, I think there's one other thing, because really you can do a lot with this also. So now for this, you can actually use it this way, use the cup this way. But if you want to make it into a 3 cup, having 1, 2, 3, you know, you can now take a measurement and decide how you want it to be. If you want it to come down, you know, or however you want it, like come down from here 2 inches. If you want to do 2 inches, I'm marking 2 inches. So you can mark 2, you can mark 2.5, you can mark 3, whatever you want. All right, but please make sure that it's all the same. Like make it flow, so that especially now that you're having a whole lot of, you can also do this after you have joined this part to this part, whatever, because at times I join it, like I join it here before I mark the 2. It's still perfectly fine. So if you don't, then try to do your 2 inches marking first. You know, just make sure that here is 2. Why I link it is that at times it just flows better. So from here also you take it here, right? So now you're doing this without linking it. That's what I'm saying. But when I link it, it works better. So that is it. Okay, so you've divided it. So by the time you cut it out, you can now join it together. If you don't want to go that route, you can as well come from here. Okay, this is what I mean. I just want to explain this part. Okay, so you can actually go from here and join it first. We'll join it together. So let's separate it. Most times I try to join this first with my sellotape, so I'm going to join that and I'll show you before doing the whole lining thing. So I'll do that now and show you. Okay, so this is what I was saying. So most times I prefer to even join it to C first. Okay, so C, I have been able to join it. Now joining it, at least now you can know if there is any shortage or anything, and then you correct it. So here I have just a little to make up. Okay, I'm trying to add that, so let me just So I'll just like to join this kind of. Alright. So having noticed that place, I now want to join. You can use your hand, you know, like free hand or whatever, see, and just try to make sure that it flows, because you've been able to notice it, so that it just flows into this. Now see what I was saying, why I don't like doing this. If you notice, see the pencil mark, one of it is up, one of it is down. So that's why I prefer to join this way, and when I'm done, I can now use my tape. Now I can say, okay, this is where my 2 inches is starting from to. This is it. So I'm crossing the 2 parts, and I now try to check the other ones and see where I have my 2, see where I have my 2. So I now know that I'm bringing this from here to this 2, right? And from this 2, I'm bringing it down. So that way I'm not making any, you know, funny mistakes. So it's good to align it, right? So it's always good to do your alignment. So I'm just cleaning off the other ones. So when you align, it shows you how it's going to be. So now you can see what that 2 looks like. Okay. So having seen this, you can now go ahead and cut out your pattern. So now before you do that also, please let's level. So now up here is going to be our 1, 2 and 3, and still I'm going to write on them, so I know that this is my CF, this is my SF. Okay, so even here too, my CF, my SF, and then I always draw lines, okay, just to make sure I don't get confused. And here too, I do my notch marks. It helps me. So when I'm cutting, I put in my notch marks. All right, it will help me know what is joining to what and where. So with that, I can now continue with my cutting. So here I'm going to just cut it to that point. Right? So that's it. So it will relax. So now I can now take my curve ruler and really draw out that for you to see. Okay. I'll probably use another color. So that's it. Okay. Flip your ruler over. If placing it that way still works for you, you can place it that way. Okay, mine just didn't work, so, and I'll continue that. So have you seen how beautiful that looks? It just looks a bit complicated, but it's not. Please just follow my video. It's very, very easy. Okay, so let's continue with our cutting. I just love the look of the cup, you know. So from here, just go in, follow our new line. Alright. So don't forget, let's cut this off first. separate this. So like I said, don't forget, I'm just trying to make sure that we still see that mark, right? So that you know where you're joining what to what. Alright? So that is that. Let's cut out this and we know that we're done. Okay, so finally we're done. All right, so this is our back. Okay, can see that. So that's our back. Isn't it looking beautiful? So now your arrows will make you know that this is the up, this is the side, and this is the center back, and this is the middle front. Okay, and then for the front, so no matter how scattered it is, I mean, it's very obvious. We have our two, and we have our center front. Okay, so you see the arrow, the notches makes it easier for you to know where what fits. Okay, so that's it, and then this is it. So have you seen that? And this is our back piece. Okay, so please subscribe. Okay, click on that notification bell icon, so whenever I upload a new video you will see it. I'm going to be bringing more things. I think we have an ongoing class on a keyhole, how to actually cut this corset, you know, with a keyhole neck. I also had issues at a point with this keyhole thing. You know, at times you cut it, I found out that at times it has some excesses at this point, and people just try to maneuver it, especially when you're a pattern drafter. I really don't do frame. I'm more of a pattern person, and you know, at times I'm like, is this pattern, you can't just cut this thing out. There must be something that makes it, gives it this tightness, so you don't need to adjust. Okay, so that's the ongoing class we're having now, but I'm sure with time I'll bring it onto my channel as well. I'm trying to get a video done on that. So whatever questions you have, you know, do ask. Like I always advise, please watch the video over and over. If you take your time in a quiet place and watch this, you will understand it, because I've tried to take it step. It's so detailed, you know, it's long. I'm not a fan of long videos, but this really needed to be explained in details. So wherever you think you're not cleared, please ask and I will explain. Whatever you think we need to do more or I need to do more, do let me know. Okay, like I said earlier, subscribe, share the videos. You know, someone may need it. Really, I know some people are still struggling with this and some are experts, but I just feel that no knowledge is a waste. I still learn up till now, so I don't disregard anybody's teaching, because really I could get a thing or two and still add to what I know and do it differently. So I love all instructors on YouTube, physically. I follow up on trainings I take, you know, from where I think, oh, this is new, I like this, you know, you add it onto. So no knowledge is a waste. I don't disregard anybody's video. I don't disregard anybody's teaching. I learn from it, because really life is all about learning, and you have to keep learning to keep improving, because without doing that you can't improve. You know, for you to be a master in your game, of course you need to master a whole lot of arts as well. Okay, so having said all this, it's been a Macadel online training, and as usual I have been, my name is Nita, it remains Nita, Miss Nita, you know, your physical and online instructor. and it's been nice having you here. Like I said, thank you so very much for our subscribers. Those that have, I really appreciate it with all my heart. I say thank you, thank you. For those that haven't yet joined my channel, please do, because a lot is coming up. I mean, I've attended so many trainings that I have a lot I need to upload as well, you know, in and out, whichever way, okay? And I would want to share this with you. So how do you get this? You have to join up my channel for you to learn from me, and I believe that I'll also learn from you. Okay, so thank you so very much, and I'll see you in the next class.